For this project, you're going to be creating a movie poster composition. And in this unit, we're going to be working both in Adobe Illustrator and in Photoshop. So you're going to learn some different techniques that allow you to work between both of the software. To begin and to introduce you to this project, the first thing you need to do is to do some research into the kind of movie poster that we're going to be creating. For this project, you're going to be creating a movie poster composition, and we're going to be working both in Adobe Illustrator as well as Photoshop. So you're going to learn some techniques that allow you to work between the two different softwares. To introduce you to this project and the kind of movie poster that I want you to create, let's have a look at a variety of different artists that can inspire you and also give you some directions for your composition. First off is the work of Strozen. Drew is kind of the father of the modern day movie poster, and he's most known for the Star Wars, Indiana Jones, he's done Harry Potter. Chances are you've seen some of his work. If you go to his website or if you Google his name, you can go to his portfolio, and he does do more than just movies. He does lots of publishing and traditional artwork as well. But from here, this will give you a good sense of how he lays out his compositions. If I was to click on one of these, let's say the one he did for Blade Runner, this is very typical Strozen layout. First off, he chooses good portraits of all of the main characters within his poster. So that's the first thing that I want you to think of. What's a good movie that has good characters that you can find imagery of? Then he'll compose them in here, having the main character usually largest and all of the other characters blending together and getting slightly smaller. Finally, pay attention to the setting of all of these. He's placing the characters into a background that either has part of the movie or something that's associated with the movie. For Drew, he also works in a lot of traditional media. Usually it's spray painted or acrylic or colored pencil in a variety of mixed media. So what you're seeing is not a digital composition, but again, it's well researched. He's finding images of all the different characters, and he's blending them together to make a composition that gives you an idea of how what the movie is about. A final thing to note is he's leaving some area open in his illustration to place the title of the movie, and that's going to be another thing that you'll want to place within your illustration. Let's have a look at one more of his too. Have a look at his Harry Potter one. Again, a great composition. Sometimes he'll add some sort of border or decorative design around the central characters, but all of the characters are well placed in here so that you can see their faces and they're overlapping and blending together with some sort of setting or important background to their composition. Another person to look at is Kyle Lambert. Kyle is a little bit more contemporary with his designs, and he's done a lot of things for Stranger Things. You can see he's done some work for Disney as well as Marvel. His layouts are all done digitally, but the composition technique is very similar to that of Strozen. In this case, he's giving you all of the characters, sometimes changing the size, leaving room for the titles, and also giving you some sense of setting within their design. Going down to some others, here's one for Jumanji, a bit more of a traditional design. And also here's one for, let's do a Stranger Things one. In this case, it's a little bit more of a departure from his traditional look and feel. Let's see if we can get the overall thing. But he's using imagery that's found inside of the actual production or stills from the screen itself. So he's not actually using photographs that are taken. He's actually working from pictures found within the show. And the final person is Ollie Moss. Ollie is a traditional illustrator. He does more than just movie posters, but he's got a good strong sense of silhouette that combines both the characters and the setting. In this case, for the Jungle Book, you can definitely get an idea of the main character or one of the characters, and within them, he'll put a silhouette of some of the setting or some important scene from the movie. He's best known for his Star Wars trilogy, where he took each of the main characters and made a silhouette of them, and then place the setting inside of those. So this is another direction that you can go on as well. The main thing I like about Ollie's work, as well as the others, is they give a good sense of color within their compositions. They're not using just every single color. Instead, they're limiting their color palette to really emphasize the artistic and expressive nature of each of the posters. And each one is very distinct. Let's have a look at one more of his poster designs. Here is one for Spirited Away. So, as you begin to research not just your movie, also get inspired by other movie poster designers. The next thing you'll need to do is to think of the movie that you want to work in. Now, images can come from movie stills, from production photos, screenshots, or even press releases. All of these can be found online, or if you own a digital copy, you can pull screens from those. And in another movie or another video, I'll talk you through my thought process of finding these reference images. However, your images must not come from other artworks or other fan-made artists. I want everything to be an original photograph that you have found or some sort of composition that you have created, not from someone else. There does need to be at least 2 portraits of the characters from the movie, and try to find good high-quality images. Another thing that's not listed in my printout instructions is I want this to be a real movie. In other words, not an animation and not anything that's 3D rendered. I want there to be actual physical flesh and blood characters that you're pulling from. Again, you're trying to find portraits of these characters in the movie. But you can also find background imagery or other types of scenery or props that can be associated too. Finally, you can look up some useful fonts that you can use within the title of your movie. And then later on, we'll talk a little bit about the color scheme for your overall composition. For this project, we're going to start off by making your composition in Photoshop. Then we're going to vectorize and stylize it in Illustrator. And then we're going to bring it back into Photoshop to add in the final details. If you're following along with this unit, the exercises are going to step you through the entire process that I'm looking for when creating this movie composition. So you're going to apply the tools and techniques from the exercises to your final composition in this movie poster. Now let's talk a little bit about doing your research.